if you guys are on Crypto X, you see these announcements quite a bit, don't you not? So he mentions this exclusively yesterday, and he goes on to mention, all right, this is not the first time he's mentioned it, by the way, but he has done this poll, bring Vine back, or bring back Vine, April 17th. And, some of you guys have pointed out, like, I remember Vine. Vine is basically TikTok before TikTok. Right. So where are we going with this? What does this have to do with crypto? All right. Great question. Let's give you a little brief history lesson. Let's take you over to here. You will see here that Vine, of course, was a service. Why point this out? I promise it's going to get good. Vine was an American short form video hosting service where users could share up to a 10-minute long looping video clip. Now, of course, you're already accustomed to such things when it comes to Facebook Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, right? But Vine was the one that was provided on the Twitter platform many years ago, back when it was Twitter. And yeah, it got scrapped. Now, as we know, Elon Musk has a history of revitalizing things and bringing things back from the dead, if you will. Did Elon Musk ever meet up with the guy who headed up Vine or one of the co-founders or anybody like that? The answer is yes. Check this out for a second before we get into all that. And you'll see where we get this connection. Byte, SUI. Where's Max going with this? Smash the darn like button. You'll be glad that you did. So look at this for a second. Let's blow it up more. Originally launched, like I said, a while ago, 2013, bought by Twitter. In 2012, before its launch, the service was shut down on January 17, 2017. App was discontinued a few months later. But videos published on Vine's social network would be shared with different social networking platforms. For example, Facebook, you have Instagram, all these other ones that kind of are similar. But the bottom line is, when you go further down, there's some interesting things posted here, okay? So Vine app, right here, yes, Vine app was allowed to be used to browse those videos, see trending videos. By December 2015, were you aware that Vine had over 200 million active users? Why the heck would Twitter want to scrap something like this? Interesting. Always interesting to look more into some of these things. If you have something that works, why scrap it? Especially with a company like, Twitter back in the day. I'd be asking that. Well, what's also interesting is when you go further down here for more of the history, and I know this is Wikipedia, but bear with me. And that is when Twitter launched this online archive on January 20th, 2017, that had every Vine video that had ever been published. The archive was officially discontinued literally 2 years later in 2019. Vine's co-founder, who's Dom Hoffman, created a successor not affiliated with Twitter, but launched on January 24, 2020 as Byte. And of course was renamed twice, discontinued May 3rd, 2023. Now I want to talk about that for a second, okay? Because as we know, when it comes to Elon Musk, his AI dog, right? His name is Byte. And, some people say, well, you don't have an official announcement that, Elon Musk has selected Byte. True. But guess what? You never had an official announcement that he ever selected Shiba Inu. You never had an official announcement that he selected Floki. But those meme tokens soared, did they not? Correct. Yeah, you saw it happen in the past. Doge, Shiba Inu, etc., Floki. Where I'm going with this is understanding that even though I don't talk about meme coins often, once in a while I will, and I'll point out the things, in my opinion, that really, really matter if you look more into it. Let's get more into this. You'll be glad that you paid attention to this. So when we zoom in a little bit more, you will see this. So let's talk about this guy, Dom Hoffman. When we go to the next particular page, you will see that, he did some things. He created, I should say, this thing here. I'm going to go back to the other page, which is called Huddles. I think I was on the right page on that. Sorry about that. So Huddles was originally called V2, and then Byte, and later on Clash. It was an American short form video hosting service. Social network. Again, don't forget this part if you're taking notes. Where users create looping videos between 2 to 16 seconds long, created by a team that was led by Dom Hoffman, a successor of Vine. Initially as teased, V2 was branded as Byte, November 2018, 3-year closed beta, launched on Apple's App Store, then Google Play Store. But when it went to Clash, it was then later renamed to Huddles, and then, of course, was discontinued May 3rd, 2023. Here's the logo back then, 2018. And, it's all interesting. Where am I going with this, right? That's what I'd be asking. Well, you have to keep in mind that when you see this, that, I say to myself, I think it's worth pointing out. So November, at least then, of 2018, the project was moving forward with a funding team under the new Byte branding. At the time, website invited users to sign up for updates and for content creators to join its creator program. The program was shut down, though, in August, and the Byte team announced that they would be using this time to take everything they learned to apply towards future opportunities and programs. Interesting. As you go further down, there's now 2020. Now they're on iOS and Android, 40 countries, so on and so forth. Talks about taglines, creativity first, how they had a program to compensate creators like myself. In the media, Byte was referred to as a direct competitor to TikTok. Everybody knows about TikTok, right? I don't need to talk you guys' ears about TikTok, excuse me. As I get more into the whole thing of Dom Hoffman, it's apparent that this guy, is a successful entrepreneur. He's got a lot of interesting things, especially when it comes to his background, but more in particular, Byte, formerly dubbed V2. Okay. So I decided to take more look into this, and I said to myself, interesting. Elon Musk obviously has a history of bringing things back from the dead. Now, this is not a nothing burger at all. And when I looked more into it, I said, man, is this becoming like a deep dive in regards to like meme coin? Like me doing a deep dive on a meme coin? Is it just a meme coin? Or is there something else a little bit more that needs to be expanded upon? And if so, what the heck is that? Well, let's take you over to this. And if anything, yes, to answer the question, Elon Musk loves to bring things back from the dead. How so? Look at this. Here's an old picture of him. PayPal. Look at this. X.com. Literally holding a debit card for X payments. Now, we understand, especially with the deep dives, that in my opinion, he's going to go with Stellar for payments. Some of you guys have said it's going to be Velo. I think it's going to be the umbrella of anything in that ecosystem, personally, especially SHX for like remittances. It's just going to be an umbrella effect. But if you were wondering if he's ever disapproved of things in the past and try to bring him back from the dead, the answer is yes. As you can see here, back in the day with Zip2, he provided business directories of maps, newspapers, et cetera, et cetera. 1999, Compaq acquired Zip2 for nearly $307 million. Musk left the company after acquisition. Then Musk founded PayPal. You know the drill. We talked about this before. And, of course, disagreements. Didn't like, the direction it was going in, right? Well, basically speaking, after leaving PayPal, here's a little bit more about this. He decided to, take things to a different, I guess you could say, part of his life. I don't know. He went on a different journey, but he didn't forget where he came from. This statement here from India Today, Elon Musk used to rewrite code of engineers who were working for him at Zip2 after they went home. So he doesn't forget things, even though he walked away from them, is the bottom line. Let me share this with you for a second. Here's another person from this whole thing of Vine. This is Russ Yusupov. He was designer, tech entrepreneur, best known as the co-founder of Vine, co-founder and CEO or at HQ Trivia. And what's interesting is when you see that even though we're in the modern day, this guy co-founded Vine. And like it says, Vine was sold to Twitter October 2012 for reported $30 million. Shortly after the service's official launch, that is, back in 2013, Vine hit #1 on the App Store for free downloads, became the most used video sharing application in the market at the time. This gentleman that you see in the picture here, he left Twitter in late 2015 after Vine was deprioritized by Twitter. Yusupov tweeted, "Don't sell your company." Interesting. After leaving Twitter, he co-founded Intermedia Labs, an app studio, 2015. But yeah, he had all this stuff going on, and it's interesting to see, the statements, especially as of yesterday. All right, let me share you guys something. Did Elon Musk ever meet with this guy? The answer is yes. How so? Do I have proof? I have proof. Let's go ahead and share that as well. Boom, here you go. Here's a picture. Elon Musk was meeting about saving Vine. People forgot, or maybe you didn't even know. Here's the picture. Lovely picture. Okay. This was that gentleman that was from that Wikipedia entry, right, from Vine, who is basically this guy, right? He's aged since then. We all age. So Russ Yusupov, okay? But anyway, bottom line is they met. They talked. What happened? Well, let's get more into this. Here's the next part. Pay attention to this. I'm telling you flat out, it's all going to make sense. Would not give you something that would not make sense. I don't do that. Look at this. Elon Musk asked his engineers to dig up all the Vine from Twitter archives. Huh. Updated on the November 2022. The short video platform allowed users to post 6-second videos, right? Popular in 2013. Some of you guys might have used this, right? From Mumbai, okay? Basically shares or shows this. Says Elon Musk looking for ways to improve the newly bought social network, now known as X, basically. Found this whole thing. And yeah, he had his engineers work on Vine code to bring back Vine. Why would he do that? So again, back to the whole thing of TikTok, right? You can look more into this if you choose to do so. I'm going to jump to this next part. Let's share this. This is, again, from the Vine service. How many times do you see the word Byte mentioned here? 2018, Dom Hoffman, upcoming successor to Vine. Byte was previously known as V2. Byte application launched publicly a year later. Elon Musk completed his purchase of social media company on Twitter. Hold on, let me go down to the next part. Huddles originally was named Byte, like I pointed out. Back in 2018, Hoffman announced the official name for V2 would be Byte. Set for release in spring 2019, Byte underwent a closed beta period. Community members from a Byte dedicated forum who were invited to test the app. Byte was officially launched on the iOS and Android stores January 24th, 2020. On the 26th, 2021 of January 26th, I should say, Hoffman announced the Byte forum that the app would be run by a company named Clash. Months later, Byte was renamed or relaunched and renamed to Clash, and should be renamed again to Huddles. The history now gets to May 3rd, 2023. Announced discontinuation, standalone services, series of tweets, so on and so forth. And then there's also this. There was a process of commencing immediately upon announcement to remove Huddles app and so on. Like, what went down there, right? And this is, if you think about it, this is not a full year. May 3rd, coming up here in a few weeks, would be a full year. Is that all Max has? No, I don't have just that. I wouldn't do that to you guys. I want to share this. This is all going to make so much sense, and you could be like, what the heck? That's the way I took it. Maybe some people won't say what the heck, and that's okay too. Look at this for a second. This is really, really interesting. Blow this up. What does it say here? It says from politico.com/news, and I'll drop this in the comments for you guys just in case you want to read it yourself. Look at this. Okay. You will see here Chinese diplomats, like it says, quietly meeting with Hill staffers about TikTok after a bill that would force the sale of the company passed the House. diplomats from the Chinese embassy met with Hill offices to push talking points defending the app. When was this? This was posted yesterday, April 17th, 2024. I understand why Max does that whole thing of the past to bring it to the present. Give us an idea of the future. Yeah, I do it all the time. Welcome to the show, right? Welcome to the channel. Thank you for being here, especially when you could be doing other things. You don't think I appreciate you guys? I appreciate you guys every single day. I count my blessings. I count them one by one. I count my many blessings. I see what God has done. So let's blow this up. I want you guys to see this for yourself, just in case you're Boomer effing sooner, chilling with his dog Monica on the couch. Maybe Boomer's not here tonight, and that's okay too. So Chinese embassy held these meetings with Congress to lobby against the legislation that would force a sale of TikTok, according to the two Capitol Hill staffers. TikTok, which is owned by Beijing-based company ByteDance, has repeatedly denied a relationship with the Chinese government and sought to distance itself from Chinese origins. But now, with the fate of legislation to force the sale of the company facing an uncertain path forward in the Senate, the Chinese embassy appears to be leveraging its political weight to protect the company's future in the United States. Meetings, of course, happened on the Hill, and there was a back and forth conversation. But as we go further down, you will see this thing where it talks about how the Senate granted anonymity to discuss conversations that were not authorized to reveal publicly. The meetings, which took place with Chinese diplomats, were held after the House in March overwhelmingly voted in favor of protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Control Applications Act, the legislation forced ByteDance to sell TikTok. Now, I'm going to pause there for a second. I want everybody to understand this. Sometimes it's just as simple as just digging deeper. My thing is this. I will always try to, unless I run out of time, recognize things that create supply and demand. Action, reaction. If Elon Musk is coming up with these announcements, publicly speaking, asking for a poll, I could put two and two together just as much as the next guy. So can you. With that said, what kind of reaction will we see from this? Where am I going with the freaking Byte meme token? And SUI? Max, could you please just get into it? You better believe I will. Here's why I'm going to get into this. As we jump into the next particular part, there is this interview. Yeah, an interview. Where? CNBC. Now I get it. Not everybody's a fan of CNBC. I'm trying to make it political. However, hopefully he doesn't play the ad because everybody skipped the ad. Listen to this. You're going to see this guy, right? Remember him? That's right. Russ Yusupov being interviewed in this particular segment, talking about some things, some interesting things. And that is this. Why Vine's co-founder thinks an American TikTok is a good thing. I think we know where we're going with this. This is under 5 minutes. Smash that darn like button. You'd be glad that you tuned in tonight because I'm telling you flat out, call it a bombshell, call it whatever you want. You have to hear it for yourself. Here we go.
And we've talked a long time about the strength of TikTok's algo, the way in which it becomes a cultural force in its communities. How long can they run into these landmines like they have in India and now here?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing here is TikTok stumbling as they're trying to expand internationally. And if they want to succeed here in the States, they really need to create a distinctly US brand and bring in US leadership. And hopefully this deal with Microsoft or another acquirer comes to fruition, which I think it will.
How do you think it answers the concerns of those who are most hawkish in the White House, at least?
Look, I love the Microsoft and TikTok deal for a few reasons. I think TikTok in America is a good thing. We need more competition in tech, not less. And it remains to be seen if TikTok is the right acquirer and if they can actually scale the service reliably and responsibly. But I'm also very concerned. I think here we see how Trump can yield his power to drive a more favorable deal for his administration. And having influence and leverage like this really early in the deal could mean that TikTok could become Trump talk, right? This kind of influence over an acquisition could also mean influence over how user data is collected by our government. And that comes with a lot of potential problems.
Russ, Julia Borston here. You said competition is good in this space. Now, speaking of competition, just today, Facebook's Instagram unveiled Reels, which is their TikTok-like tool that's going to be part of Instagram. How do you see that playing into this? Do you think Reels will be a real competitor to TikTok and could draw people over, especially in the midst of all this controversy?
Absolutely. I think Facebook and Instagram have done an incredible job in creating the types of features and functionality that that video creators really want. TikTok was able to evolve the medium by innovating around the creation tool and bringing lip syncing and dance videos to a new generation. They've also been able to innovate around distribution with their algorithms, so they can pair creators up with their niche audiences without having people search and hunt for different accounts to follow to develop a follow graph, right? Following an account on TikTok isn't really necessary. You just browse through the feed and you get content tailored to you, and that's incredibly powerful in terms of distribution. They've also been able to innovate around monetization. So they successfully bring in advertising and virtual gifts with live streaming so creators can monetize this way. I think Instagram has a challenge on their hands in competing with TikTok around distribution and monetization for creators. So I'm looking forward to seeing what comes of it. I'm also excited about new players in the world of social media and video.
Well, Russ, how do you think that this evolving competitive setup filters into the conversations and the price that Microsoft might be interested in paying for TikTok, just because TikTok came so fast in terms of getting to massive scale that you almost wonder if that's a reminder that something else could come along pretty quickly as well. I mean, does TikTok have some kind of a moat there that they can protect?
I think their moat is frankly pretty weak. There are lots of opportunities for startups in this tech landscape to build something new, to innovate around creation tools, to innovate around distribution and monetization. So apps like Byte are bringing real competition to TikTok, and I'm a huge fan of Byte and what the team is doing there. And I think another way to compete here is just by bringing people something that's never been done before. So we should expect to see a lot of activity in the competitive landscape here.
Nice interview, to say the least. All right, let's take it here. This is from Reuters, okay? All you guys, get on Reuters and so on. So, U.S. House passes bill to force ByteDance to divest TikTok or face ban. Kind of talked a little bit about this, right? March 14th. Here's some of the people, so on, right? So, like it mentions, overwhelmingly passed, at least the House did, in regards to this bill that would give TikTok's Chinese owner ByteDance about 6 months to divest the U.S. assets of the short video app, face ban if they don't, and the greatest threat to the app since the Trump administration. The bill passed 352 to 65 in a bipartisan vote. And then on top of that, you do see here, it faced a more uncertain path in the Senate, where some favor a different approach to regulating foreign-owned apps posing security concerns. So I'm telling you flat out, Elon Musk has strategically, he's kind of like forced to position himself in a way for preparing for the oh crap moments. You don't go through all the hell he went through with this transitioning of Twitter to obviously X, and then you're done. You're right. Oh, I'm good. No, there's still other battles that have to be fought. What the heck does this have to do with the Byte meme or SUI? I understand. again, we're going to get to that. So jumping into this, some of you guys are asking, well, you know, all this stuff about TikTok. I mean, can you buy TikTok stock? The answer is no. Here's a little announcement about that. So it says TikTok doesn't trade on public markets. However, does offer some employees restricted stock units, which they can invest time as long as they remain employed. Is TikTok on the stock market? No, it's not. You can't buy it, at least not directly. So more info about this, okay? And, you know, basically, I want to give you guys some quick notes before I kick it over to like the actual things that we should also pay attention to. All right. So for one, you know, you have to keep in mind supply and demand. Okay. So we mentioned Byte. All right. In the past, Elon Musk has mentioned, you know, his Shiba Inu dog. He's mentioned what's the dog's name? The dog's name is Floki. When did he name his Shiba Inu puppy? You know, some people ask about that. Well, he named it on September 12, 2021. Interesting. Okay. I remember last year we were covering some of this. Look at this for a second. Here's that announcement from Elon Musk. New CEO, Twitter. You know, he's amazing. Here's the dog. Cute dog, right? I mean, who doesn't love dogs? I mean, let's just be honest. Maybe some people don't, but super cute dog. Okay. And like it says, you know, the prices of these coins kind of went up. Floki up 50%, right? Because of the naming. So whatever he does, the prices of these things go up. Is there a little bit more detail about this? Well, I took the liberty to get into doing a little bit more research in regards to this. You guys know me, I don't really talk about meme tokens too often. All right. But I feel as though there's ones in the bull market that really will shine. All right. And don't get me wrong, some of you guys done really well with Pepe and some of these other ones. Hey, awesome. Okay. For the purposes of this segment, I think you should pay attention to this. So I'm telling you, go out and you buy a bunch of Byte or SUI or any of this stuff. No, I'm just providing you information. Do it as you please. Right. Look at this for a second. I already took the liberty to, you know, as the saying goes, when in doubt, zoom out. Or in this case, let's zoom in. This is Floki, Floki. A lot of you guys are into Floki. I don't own Floki, but I own Shiba Inu, I own Doge, I own Byte. All right, nothing against Floki. Okay, if you hold Floki, awesome. So check this out. I zoomed in. Let's look at it for ourselves. September 3rd, 2021. All right, here is September 11th, 2021. And then the announcement was September 12th, right? All right, so right around here, yeah, something happened. And then, you know, it takes time for news to get passed around. Call it buy the rumor, sell the news, call it whatever you want. But the fact is, something happened. It's called Elon Musk happened, and his announcement happened, and then boom. So look here, we are at, before the announcement, roughly 401367. Watch this, guys. I'm just being honest. Just watch this. You might not like meme tokens, and I get it. But watch this. Then boom, Elon Musk mentions something. Word gets around, and then all of a sudden there's a climb. And boy, oh boy, maybe it just took time for the word to get out. But we literally ate a whole zero. You know, and some of you guys think that eating a whole zero is not a big deal. Trust me, when it comes to meme tokens, it's a huge deal. All right. So from here, before, what was that? So 4 zeros, 1686, eats a whole zero, then goes to 3 zeros, 3008. And that's just off of Floki. Okay. All right. Do I have another example? I do have another example. Let's give you the next example. This is Shiba Inu, my beloved Shiba Inu. I don't get to talk about enough, but it's okay. So let's do the same thing. Let's take a look at this. All right. So basically, like right around here, 10th, 11th, so on and so forth. 0.350699, give or take. A little blip because something was mentioned here. You know what I mean? All right, kind of somewhat went on. and then boom, takes time for, people to, I guess, find out about some of this stuff. And then shortly after, big rise. So we went from literally 345069, let's just call it that. And then more of this buy the rumor, I guess you could say. And then boom, look at this. 1027. So not even a month and a half later, it goes to 407924. Now that's not all-time highs for SHIB, but we have seen it as high as 4089, I think. So it's almost close to that. All right. Again, that's another perfect example. Okay. I think you get the idea with that. Now, let's take you over to the next example. This is good stuff. I'm telling you. You guys might hate meme tokens, whatever the case be. It's still worth pointing out. There's money, obviously, to be made in meme tokens. Let's take you to the next part. Here we go. All right, here's this announcement. I know I'm not in the frame. It doesn't matter. Elon Musk endorsement Dogecoin boosted it 55%. When was that? February 8, 2021. Okay. What about the whole thing of Byte? Do we have an example? Is it today's example? Yep. Here's today's example. He announced it yesterday. Action, reaction, boil it, mash it, stick it in a stew. What do you see here? Yeah. And the market, how is this market doing overall? Well, you know how it's been doing overall. Things kind of suck right now, right? But interesting to see this 28, 29% roughly, in my opinion, from that reaction. Yeah. What about Token Sniffer? Does it still have a good score? I'm not doing all the contracts, but it still has a good score. Yeah. 100 out of 100. We covered this before. I did see a post somebody mentioned in regards to, the whole thing of, well, at the very bottom, it says this. And I did see that myself recently. It says, warning, excessive amount of liquidity burn often could indicate scam. Contact the token creator. Well, still, it's 100 out of 100. I don't know why they would flag it on that. When I went more into this, let's jump back there for a second. Somebody pointed this out. I think it's on the far right side. Let me go click on the latest. You will see what I'm talking about here in a second. So I believe it's in here, right? There it is. This guy says, what's this? Can you explain this? Well, some people from the community explained it. And basically speaking, like the guy said, there's no blacklist that can happen. The contract ownership is renounced. Do your own research before saying nonsense. Right. And how do we know that the contract is renounced? Well, even in the audit, when you go to it, you will see that it's checkmarked here on the analysis, ownership renounced. So it meets that criteria. So that is worth pointing out. I don't know what the deal is with token stuff or why they're doing that. All right, let's get to the next part about this for a second. This is also good stuff. This is from the block. I'm going to go ahead and post this in the comments for you guys, so you can see it for yourself, just in case you're following along. All right. For everybody else that's driving down the road, you're going to have to listen. That's fine. So this was posted April 18th, which is today. TikTok owner ByteDance tech arm collaborating with who? Sui builders, SUI, on Web3 gaming and social-fi. Interesting. It says Byte Plus, the venture technology arm of TikTok parent company ByteDance, partnering, of course, with Mistin Labs, the builder on a layer 1 blockchain suite. I did look more into SUI, and that's what it shows up as being its own blockchain. A little bit more about this. TikTok's owner, ByteDance Enterprise Tech Services subsidiary, Byte Plus, partnering with Mistin Labs to enhance Web3 gaming and social-fi offerings on SUI. Mistin's blockchain network. It announced this, of course, yesterday morning on a blog post by the project's foundation. Byte Plus will collaborate with Mistin Labs to offer various services to SUI, including recommendation, solutions, augmented reality products. Now, for some of you guys that don't know what augmented reality products are, basically speaking, I mean, Like you have like headsets, you have, what they call AR glasses. They're like wearable glasses, um, like that you put on and so on, right? There's a bunch of other examples. Like, for example, there's the whole thing of AR apps, right? Basically, like there's software applications that will literally allow you to use your smartphone or tablet's camera to display computer generated images on screen. There's also AR apps that could be used for a variety of purposes: gaming, education, shopping. I mean, a mountain of lists, games, educational apps. There's just a bunch of things when it comes to that specifically. I want to jump more into this because it's good stuff. So, Byte Plus offers quite a bit, offers the whole thing of products for builders, including AI recommendation algorithm solutions, and Byte Plus CDN, a network of servers and data centers for accelerated delivery. According to Miston Labs, these products in themselves will allow the builder to drive Web3 video game collaborations with major game development companies. Look at that, guys. In addition, Byte Plus, if you weren't aware of it, will also do this. They will allow you to lend data to its warehousing and AI-powered algorithmic tools to builders on the Layer 1 blockchain, supercharging their analytics and enabling them to scale infinitely. That's a bold statement. Look at this for a second. A little bit more about AI, and this time SUI. By integrating cutting-edge AI recommendation and visual algorithms into SUI, it signifies a leap towards enhancing user experience within the Web3 game platforms and even SocialFi projects. SocialFi. That sounds interesting. Byte Plus and Miston Labs are also collaborating on rolling out programs to build SUI's community, such as international hackathons and an educational series. All right. Now, who wrote this for a second? Well, this is from Elizabeth Napolitano. She's a data reporter covering business and technology news. And before joining the block, listen to her background. She reported on big tech, AI, crypto, video games, all this stuff. Like, this is her passion. I can appreciate that. So, what else do we have? Well, let's take you over to this. This is SUI. And I know some of you guys were saying SEI. I'm aware of that one as well. But this, for the purpose of sharing what we have tonight, this is SUI. So, yes, let's get into this as well. You will see here some things. I'm just going to cover what's on the surface just a little bit. This is not a deep dive necessarily about SUI, but I'm going to point out a few key things. Number one, there's a total and max supply that match each other of 10 billion SUI. Okay? Yes, people are going to point out there's only 12.96% in circulation. They have people point out the fears of, well, what if the devs dump all this, delusion, cause the value of the coin to tank. Again, do more of your own research, see if it's for you. I'm just providing information. They are their own blockchain, you can see right there. And of course, there's more information. As I go over to markets on the surface, you can get this on Binance, Coinbase, I think also crypto.com, Kraken, on a lot of big exchanges, obviously. Okay. As I go to the about area, like it says, it is a layer 1 blockchain, and it does support the needs of what global adoption by offering secure, powerful, scalable development. As core, it leverages novel object-centric data model to secure move programming language to address inefficiencies prevalent in existing blockchain architectures. Another thing I really liked that was pointed out is SUI creates a higher standard for user experience in Web3, ensuring applications are accessible and, of course, user-friendly. Again, think about that. Let's zoom out for a second. I'm going to come back in the frame. When I see statements like that, you got to put in layman's terms. Well, that's all you got to do. You put it in layman's terms because a standard for user experience, ensuring applications are accessible and user-friendly. If we're talking about TikTok, how do you get people who don't even understand blockchain and DLT, right, to be on board with something like this? Right. TikTok, let's face it, whether you're a fan of it or not, it is user-friendly. So there's that. What makes this thing whole, SUI unique? I'll come out of the frame on this one. Let's talk about this for a second. So what makes it unique is its architecture. Well, no kidding. Low latency transactions, stable transaction fees, high throughput, horizontal scaling, parallel execution, powers developers with capabilities such as to do what they need with Web3 applications. As I went further down into this, it talks about dramatic improvements to social, or I should say crucial network processes, such as transaction processing, enables the whole thing of objects on SUI, explicitly define transaction dependencies. Transactions on SUI are able to be executed in parallel. Look at this for a second. You know how you guys talk about certain projects, we don't want to, I've seen this happen with Ripple, XLM, you name it. A lot of people have mentioned the whole thing of that they're tired of seeing what could be with the messaging. What they want to see is what's mentioned here, and that is what? I'll go right down to it. They want to see consensus. I guess I did have a highlighted. So this thing talks about consensus requirements that allow specific transactions to actually bypass consensus and be completed significantly faster. We talk about utility in motion, taking one step out of the equation. I think that's a big deal. And of course, that's no disrespect to Ripple, XRP, and XLM. I'm not going to, quit owning those just because I see this, but it is worth pointing out because there has to be things that make this unique. Many transactions are finalized, settled in less than half a second, all while maintaining high throughput and stable transaction fees. What about the people that build on SUI? Well, their focus is to provide solutions that overcome barriers in Web3 and those adoptions. They have tools that natively allow developers such as ZK login, sponsored transactions, addressing barriers such as wallet onboarding and transaction fees, respectively. Of course, they have a wallet. There's all sorts of more info. I'm going to jump now over to this and share another key thing that I want to point out with you guys. And I'm telling you flat out, all things will come full circle here in a bit. So what was mentioned here? Well, look at this as well. This is definitely worth pointing out as well. So you will see here some of the, as I would say, the nitty gritty. Byte Plus partnered with Miston Labs for AI integration in SUI blockchain. And what does it say? It says that Byte Plus is a unit of TikTok parent and Miston Labs, architects of the SUI Layer 1 blockchain, establishing a strategic relationship. Here's some of the highlights, and that is, of course, this integration of AI algorithms with SUI blockchain. There's this whole thing of how SUI will be able to combine its entire nodes data with Byte House. Who are they? They're a cloud-native data warehouse for real-time and batch analysis. They improve performance, guaranteeing faster delivery for users. The deal with Byte Plus comes as SUI ecosystem has been growing recently. But back to the whole thing about TikTok. Their owner, which is ByteDance, going to partner with Miston Labs to integrate AI algorithms on SUI blockchain. The firm's first venture into Web3 and AI comes at a time when the industry has been gaining traction from both consumers and users. So let's come back full circle on this. What was one of the main things we just talked about? We talked about the whole thing of, you're literally being looked upon under a magnifying glass, scrutinized about what you're doing with data. Now understand action, reaction, supply, demand. Demand forces are literally in place, and the action is, if we are going to lose the American market, then we need to embrace technologies where we are future-proof, where we are immutable, where things can be verified where? On a public permissionless blockchain. This simply makes sense. What about for you as an investor? Well, none of this is financial advice, but the way I'm looking at it is, yes, market-driven demand for these particular technologies. This is a perfect example of that. Let's get more into this for a second. So, as you can see, Byte Plus struck a deal with Miston, and Miston Labs have formed a strategic alliance with Byte Plus, enterprise technology division of ByteDance, the company that, of course, owns TikTok. And to do what? To expand into the Web3 space. They realize they are the biggest name when it comes to this whole thing of, an app for social media and the kids out there and so on. Who doesn't have or know somebody that has a kid that uses it? Many of you guys still use TikTok, right? Whether we want to get political or not. I don't want to get into that conversation right now. But the point is, we all know about TikTok, unless we've been living under a rock. What you also see here, worth pointing out, is that well, I guess that is the last part. Oh, it's my notes. Apologize. Yeah, let me talk about this for a second. This is good stuff too. So, ByteDance. We are almost done with this. Listen to this for a second. ByteDance. From what I gathered on my notes, good notes. ByteDance partnering with SUI. Well, from what I've seen, multiple sources say it's basically true. ByteDance's tech arm, which is called Byte Plus, working with SUI to enhance, like we said before, features of the SUI blockchain, especially in Web3 and SocialFi, which is, if you weren't aware, called social finance. Now, while it doesn't directly translate to TikTok on the blockchain, the partnership in itself focuses on areas that could potentially integrate with what? Social media. This is why I wanted to share with you guys even the whole thing with Byte, because as we know, there's going to be a lot of pressure on companies that are involved with social media, hence your X's, your Facebooks, and so on, understanding who will emerge, right? Who will take action, who will take this call to action and respond swiftly, efficiently in regards to that. Another thing I want to keep in mind, Byte Plus leveraging its expertise on AI and data to what? Well, to develop tools that SUI will benefit from. Web3 games, SocialFi projects. How about improving recommendation systems within the SUI ecosystem? Now, I feel as though that this in itself could indirectly influence how TikTok, of course, operates. Hear me out. You got to keep in mind, it's a shift of TikTok to blockchain tech, but it's not being mentioned everywhere. And that's also worth pointing out. So I think all these things need to get mentioned, but more importantly, for you guys, understanding what it means for SUI, because we're talking about SUI moving forward. Well, from what I gathered, there's several key challenges for this, obviously. And paving the way to get towards wider adoption with these Web3 apps is going to be challenging, but I think this is how it's going to be done. So number one, when we went to the site, and you guys can actually go more into the site, there is going to be mentioned here in a bit, it's going to talk about faster transactions, lower cost. SUI offers lower transactions, or low latency transactions, I should say, with stable fees. That is where we need to be with so many things, if you really think about it, because when we talk about how crypto can't be, like the big institutions aren't going to get involved if you have something that's very volatile, right? Well, even China, call it what you want. So I think as though that this is going to mean quicker processing and predictable costs, but it's going to make it more user-friendly and scalable. Has to be. We're talking TikTok. I mean, last I seen, probably, was there over 7 billion people in the world? Imagine that TikTok users might be very well 1 or 2 billion of the world's population. Let's just be real about that, or more. What about this whole thing of highly efficient throughput that was mentioned on the About page from CMC. Hear me out on this. Horizontal scaling, parallel execution does allow SUI to handle a large volume of transactions, of course, simultaneously. I like hearing that. I don't like hearing like, oh, well, we can only do one layer of this, but the other one, well, we're going to have some throttling. Nobody wants to hear about that, you know? I've got throttling bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that, right? Nobody got time for that. This is crucial, guys, for real-world applications with high user bases, or in this case, TikTok. Let me just Google it real quick. How many TikTok users are there? Over 1 billion. Fourth largest social media platform in the world by monthly active users, is double the size of Snapchat and quickly catching up to Instagram. Action, reaction. I would definitely say that. I would definitely stand by that. So there's that. What about the whole thing of creating a powerful and secure development environment? Hear me out on this too. The object-oriented design with Move programming language empowers developers to create complex applications with built-in safety features. That sounds crazy, right? But it does reduce vulnerabilities and fosters trust in the ecosystem. Trust in the ecosystem? TikTok needs that trust right now because the Senate, especially here in the United States, doesn't have a lot of trust in TikTok. Again, guys, action, reaction. What about improved user experience? Because at the end of the day, it is TikTok users, and most of them are young kids, and they don't know what's going on with all this stuff going on in the background in the world, politics, and so on, right? Right. So tools like this thing called ZK Login simplify onboarding, sponsor transactions, address wallet management for those of us who are into this stuff, right? And fee concerns, making SUI more accessible to what more users or a mass adoption. Now, in conclusion, from what I gathered, SUI's architecture in itself signifies a step forward for blockchain tech. It offers a combination of speed, security, developer-friendly tools, and can lead, of course, to a robust, innovative Web3, applications and so on. The future decentralization of TikTok, does that not sound bullish as all hell? I think it does. Let me take you over to this. This will wrap it up here. Second to last thing. I know this is kind of a deep dive. Well, you guys know me. I do this, right? Look at this. Let's blow this up for a second. This is straight from the SUI Foundation. I'm going to drop it in the comments for all you guys that are watching on the live. You will see here something incredibly interesting. And that is what? Well, the performance update. That was April of last year. They performed a series of tests to determine, as an SUI, current peak throughput on various workloads, as well as time to finality. And how big is it? 297,000 TPS. Now I get it. We're not covering BSV tonight or anything like that. There's other ones way more impressive when it comes to that. But we have to go with the one that was chosen. The one that was chosen will happen to be this, SUI. As I got more into this, I decided to myself, you know what? This deserves to be mentioned and brought to the community. You will see the key results. SUI network with 100 globally distributed validators that achieve peak throughput ranging from 10,871 TPS to a whopper of 297,000. That tells me it's not that it's got to be super fast for every transaction, but it will at least allow for what? That right there, guys, is an example of scalability. So various workloads, right, time to finality, about 480 milliseconds. Gives a whole thing about, what they did with like a MacBook Pro. Gives characterization performance levels. It's all here. And of course, they talk about in order to achieve high fidelity and realistic performance results, they had to put into characterization. They had to use a globally distributed setup, closely mirroring mainnet in terms of hardware, configurations, number of validators, geographic distribution of those validators, and voting power distribution. You guys have seen this with other projects, right? Here it is, various countries, England, even states like Texas, Illinois, Florida, IP addresses by country, 100 validators. It even talks about some of the core memory and all this stuff, right? So you could research this more for yourself, and I would recommend that you do that. Very, very impressive, to say the least. Now, getting into the last part of this, and that is this right here. Let's talk about this for a second before we wrap up the segment and kick it back into the comments. You will see something incredibly interesting, and that is MeWe. They are social network boss, or I should say their social network boss says blockchain can solve the TikTok problem. When it was posted yesterday. Understand, again, Elon Musk posting what he posted yesterday. Pay attention to what the big players do because you'll have an idea where things are going. CEO Jeffrey Edel laid out a 6-point plan for social media companies planning to transition to the blockchain. And as you get more into this, you'll see that he penned an op-ed, I should say, detailing how he believes the situation between the United States government and China's TikTok could be avoided by implementing, of course, blockchain technologies. This is another person, right? This isn't me. This is somebody, obviously, with a lot more connections than me. I'm just a guy bringing info. But Edel is the unique position of helming a social media company with, or he isn't, I should say, with reporting more than 20 million users that made the leap from traditional Web 2 to the blockchain. We know the situation with TikTok, so I'm not going to get into that again. But he says that while the concerns surrounding TikTok are valid, he believes the focus should not solely be on the app or one country. So the companies should work towards creating and setting strict guidelines for handling personal data, digital identity, users' privacy, regardless of their origin. Now, we do have some JASMY, obviously, later today. And, of course, JASMY stands out with that. Again, I just want you guys to see some of these other things that were showing up in the news. And I thought, obviously, wow, what a big, big deal. So in conclusion, what I want you guys to know or share is, what do you think in regards to this? Is this a perfect example of action reaction? You think it's just a buy the rumor, sell the news? My thing is this, understanding if we talk about mass adoption, and we have given examples, especially when it comes to finance democracy or cross-border payments of, look at these ISO coins and, here's what the big money is doing and so on. And, here's Stellar, for example, and Stellar XLM, we're talking about the peer-to-peer money and what's going to happen with that, which is obviously a big deal. And the key towards mass adoption. How would you like to have an example of you may very well have mass adoption literally at your doorstep? Because, like we mentioned out in the past, shout out to Mike Cornwell, Elon Musk, he always stated, watch out for when you get a point in time where it's your grandma, your aunt, whoever the case be. They don't even know about blockchain. They don't even know about DLT. They don't know a squat about any of this stuff. But they'll go to swipe their debit card and not even realize it's tied to what? Crypto, blockchain, DLT, and so on. What about this example? SUI, not even realizing that it's tied to TikTok. And the TikTok users aren't even aware of that? You don't think that's instant flip of the switch? Mass adoption? I think it is. Now, the point I want to share in regards to Byte earlier, as we know, that's why I was giving those examples in regards to meme tokens. Elon Musk, he talks about some of these things as action reaction. So if we go with, for example, Vine, and understand he already named his AI dog Byte. Again, what will you see from that? Again, just bringing you guys news, information. Take it as you please, but it definitely caught my eye. Some of you guys asked what cold storage solution I use. I use this, and it is the Decent wallet. All right. I also, of course, have a ledger like this. All right. You can get a discount basically from going into the affiliate link, which is in all the live video descriptions and recorded and so on. And for the yahoos that are out there, they're like, this is just a shield. And, we'll fix point this out. And it's a great point. Were you aware that you don't necessarily get a discount link just going straight to the site? No, you actually have to go through a platform like this. So how cool is that? I don't think anybody's complaining about that. But anyway, use the link, get a discount. There's another one here. If you're the type of person you want to get one for you and your significant other, you can get 2 of them. They actually have another promotion, which is this, and I think this is cool. You can get an all-in-one card wallet plus backup card package. Interesting. I thought that was cool. And again, one of the main key things I like about the Descent wallet is not having to do the red tape of jumping through all the hoops for XDC and the custom folder. I mean, Edward Vincent can vouch on that. Some of you guys can too as well in regards to Ledger. That was a pain in the butt. You don't have that problem. You literally open up your phone, it's on your app, track everything that's going on, right? And saying goes, not your keys, not your crypto. You know the drill. Check it all out though if you wish to do so. It is truly the cold storage solution that I use for the most part. There's still some on Ledger that I kind of split it up on it and so on. So it is what it is. But if I have preference over one, I'm going with this one. A lot easier to use and so on. And some people, even to this day, still ask me which one to use.